The 2010 video game Disney Epic Mickey is pretty well known for being, well, a video game. But what if you were desperate to experience the world of Epic Mickey, but didn't own a Wii? Well, boy oh boy do I have the answer for you. Let me introduce you to the world of literature. When Epic Mickey was released in 2010, it sold well over 1 million copies, and was seemingly a smash hit, and Disney, as always, was there to capitalize on the hype. In the world of written media, Epic Mickey got 2 story adaptations, 1 art book, a game guide, and a short series of graphic novels. Now, before I go into the different adaptations, there is a slight roadblock that these authors have to overcome, which is that a core mechanic of the Epic Mickey game is the playstyle matters. And how does a book go about adapting a game with multiple choices and endings? Simple answer, it just doesn't. Yeah, this is a situation that also pops up in Epic Mickey 2, where Junction Point must have created a canon path so that expanded media and sequels would have consistency. Although I think an Epic Mickey Choose Your Own Adventure book would be cool, I'll get into that later. Although, I won't be talking about the Prima game guides, since they're strategy guides, so it'll be hard to say much about them other than it walks through the game pretty well. So I'll just be talking about the adaptations of the original Epic Mickey stories and the art book. First up, I'll talk about one of the few Epic Mickey books that I actually physically own, which is the Epic Mickey novelization written by Carla Jablonski. The book is definitely more of a junior novelization, clocking in at only 138 pages. And although it follows the plot of Epic Mickey pretty faithfully, with some minor differences, like the presence of the clock tower within the Gremlin village, and the clock tower being the cause of Gus's broken house, not a pipe spraying thinner. By far the best thing about the Epic Mickey game is its story, and that's even more apparent in reading a book which doesn't have to worry about things like game mechanics. A great thing about the fact this is a book and not a game is that we get to give more focus on Mickey and Oswald's inner monologues, which brings more attention to Mickey's guilt as he figures out that he caused the Thinner disaster, and Oswald's grief over Hortensia. Because of how short it is, it doesn't take too long to finish, but it is a fun read. I read it recently because of all the hype around Epic Mickey Rebrushed, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. A far less common book is the Epic Mickey art book. This is a book that I'd love to own, since it looks like it's full of interesting concept art and interviews from developers. But boy oh boy is it expensive. Since I've never owned this book, and I've never read it, I can't really talk much about the actual contents of the book. Hopefully someday those eBay prices will go down and I'll finally be able to afford the art of Disney Epic Mickey. And now onto the arguably most well-known Epic Mickey adaptation, the graphic novel and the Tales of Wasteland. These are available on a dedicated Epic Mickey app. The graphic novel was also just a retelling of the Epic Mickey game, with some changes compared to both the game and the novelization. A pretty major story thread in the game is Mickey's guilt of the Thinner disaster, getting himself to finally confess this to Oswald. In the graphic novel, this is already common knowledge, and Oswald's sudden outburst at Mickey Junk Mountain is from him thinking Mickey is trying to take Wasteland's spotlight from him. The graphic novel doesn't really delve into characters' thoughts like the novelization does, although it definitely goes into more depth than the game, mostly because story is the only focus and not the game, much like the novelization. Alongside the graphic novel, there were the Tales of Wasteland digicomics, which focused on stories set before the events of the game and the Thinner disaster. There were a total of 6 of them, and were very lighthearted compared to the rest of the original game, although a little bit of Oswald's isolated resentment poked through in some of the comics. They were available almost exclusively in the Epic Mickey Digicomics app, although in some countries the comics got a physical release. In Italy, a few of the Tales of Wasteland comics were released in an issue of Topolino magazine, and France received the Epic Mickey graphic novel published in a physical form. The Digicomics app is exclusive to Apple devices, and of course is no longer up, partly because of Epic Mickey's downfall in 2012, and partly because of Apple no longer supporting 32-bit apps. You can still access it if you installed it before it was taken down, or if you had it in your account's app library and a 32-bit phone. Some fan recreations of the app exist, but the comics are really easily accessible on archives online. And now onto Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two. This game underperformed when it was released, so Disney didn't capitalize on it nearly as much after its release. The only official Epic Mickey 2 books to be released were the Prima game guide and the Epic Mickey 2 graphic novel. The graphic novels only saw a very limited release, and it wasn't even translated into English. It was included in a Topolino issue, and was released on its own in France, but that was about it. Story-wise, the novel elaborates on the dynamic between Gus and Prescott, and the goofiness of the Mad Doctor singing is very exaggerated, with Gus being much more opinionated on the Doc singing than in the original game. It also feels like everyone just has much more of a personality than in the original game. Epic Mickey Power of Illusion didn't get any official books, since it was just a spin-off. I remember reading somewhere a while ago that a Choose Your Own Adventure style book was being written around Epic Mickey, but was never released. I can't find any evidence of this, so it might have just been a weird fever dream. I'm not sure why it got canned, if it ever existed, because it just makes so much sense. If I were to write an Epic Mickey book, this is how I would do it, since the simple decisions of Epic Mickey seem to be made for the medium. It's currently unknown if Epic Mickey Rebrushed will get any books or re-releases of any old books, but it seems unlikely. Since the game is being developed outside of Disney, I doubt the Disney execs care too much about how the game turns out, unless it massively overperforms. I think it'd be nice if they re-released the Epic Mickey art book, because that book is great, but probably not $310 great. Congratulations, you just made it to the end of one of my videos. I had a cold when I was recording this, could you tell? Yeah. So, in case you haven't noticed, I've kind of been making more videos in the past 2 weeks than I have in the past year. And hopefully I will keep uploading. I have a plan that up until the launch of Epic Mickey Rebrushed, every week I'll upload a new Epic Mickey related video. And after that's released, I'll probably do a couple of videos on the game and how it works and all that, and if it's any better than the original. And then after that, I will probably just go back to making my general Mickey Mouse oriented videos. Sorry for anyone who subscribed for Wiggles content, I'm probably not going to make any more of that. So I hope to see you all next week with my new video, and I will see you later. Also, MatPat's retired. Aw man, that sucks.